Welcome to Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman. In Ferguson, Missouri, police shot and critically injured an African-American teenager Sunday night amidst the protests commemorating the first anniversary of the death of Michael Brown. The St. Louis Post-Dispatch is identifying the teen as 18-year-old Tyrone Harris, a graduate of Normandy High School. Michael Brown also attended Normandy. Tyrone Harris's father told the Post-Dispatch his son and Michael Brown were, quote, very close. The police say 4 officers opened fire on Tyrone Harris after he shot at them with a 9mm gun that was recovered from the scene. A video posted to Twitter by a Ferguson activist appears to show a police officer standing over Tyrone Harris's body as he lies on the ground, his hands cuffed behind his back with blood on his white T-shirt. In the video, the activist pleads with the officer to get the young man some help.
He's bleeding. Get him some help, man. Please get him some help. He's bleeding out, man. Please get him some help, man. Please get him some help, man. Please get him some help. He's bleeding out, man. You see it. He's breathing, man. Please get him some help.
Tyrone Harris was later taken to the hospital, where he remains in critical condition. Earlier Sunday, protesters commemorated the death of Michael Brown with a 4.5-minute moment of silence to mark the number of hours Brown's body lay in the street. His father, Michael Brown Sr., also led a march this weekend.
To be honest, I wouldn't even care if they was listening or not. I just want to get on the TV and let them know I'm not stopping.
Not stopping. What does that
I'm
mean?
not
What does that
stopping.
mean? Tell us what
Every
that means.
time you turn on your TV, you're going to see my face. So I'm trying to make it uncomfortable for people that think that this is okay to do this to us.
That's right. That's right.
In Seattle, Washington, Black Lives Matter protesters interrupted presidential candidate Bernie Sanders' campaign speech Saturday in order to call for a commemoration of Michael Brown's death and to demand Sanders do more for racial justice. Seattle activist Marissa Janae Johnson took the microphone and said if Sanders is really part of a grassroots movement, then he'll be more vocal in his support for Black Lives Matter.
Tomorrow is the 1-year anniversary of the ruthless murder of Michael Brown. It is time that we honor that here and now. Bernie says that he's about the people and about grassroots movement. The biggest grassroots movement in this country right now is the Black Lives Matter movement.
Following the interruption, Bernie Sanders published a statement saying he was, quote, disappointed by the interruption. The following day, he published a racial justice platform on his campaign website. It includes demilitarizing the police, addressing voter disenfranchisement, banning private prisons, and ending the war on drugs. Meanwhile, in Texas, the FBI is investigating the death of 19-year-old Christian Taylor, an unarmed African-American college football player who was fatally shot by a white police officer in the Dallas suburb of Arlington on Friday. Authorities say that police shot Taylor after he did not comply with the initial calls to surrender during what authorities are describing as a potential burglary at a car dealership. The officer has been placed on administrative leave. Taylor had spoken out against police brutality on social media. In a now much circulated tweet from late July, he wrote, quote, I don't want to die too young. In Turkey, at least 8 people have died in attacks on Turkish security forces, including an attack on a police station in Istanbul and a roadside bomb that killed police officers in the southeast province of Simak. Gunmen also fired at the U.S. consulate in Istanbul. Meanwhile, thousands of people in Istanbul, Paris, and Cologne, Germany, held peace rallies over the weekend to denounce the Turkish government's attacks against Kurdistan Workers' Party, known as the PKK, which began in late July. In Mexico, an activist who has led the search for the missing 43 students in the southern state of Guerrero was found shot dead inside a taxi on Saturday. The activist, Miguel Angel Jimenez, had uncovered mass graves near the city of Iguala, where the 43 students disappeared after an attack by local police in 2014. In news from Africa, at least 12 people died in Mali following a hostage situation at a hotel in the trading town of Savare. 5 of the dead are UN workers. The army said the gunmen are affiliated with an Islamist group known as Masina Liberation Movement. In Yemen, officials say a strike from a U.S.-backed Saudi-led coalition killed at least 20 allied fighters in a so-called friendly fire incident Saturday. This comes as the president of the International Red Cross visited Yemen and called the situation, quote, catastrophic. In news from Afghanistan, multiple explosions in the capital city of Kabul killed over 40 people Friday in attacks outside an Afghan military base, a police academy, and a U.S. Special Operations Forces base. On Saturday, a suicide bomber killed 29 people at a meeting of pro-government forces in the northern Kunduz province. Another attack outside Kabul's airport Monday morning killed at least 5 people. The wave of violence comes as the Taliban reorganize its leadership following the recent announcement of the death of former leader Mullah Omar. In news from the West Bank, hundreds of Palestinians attended the funeral for the father of an 18-month-old baby killed in an arson attack by Jewish settlers 2 weeks ago. Saad Dawabsheh succumbed to the injuries Saturday. The rest of the family remains hospitalized. The board of the American Psychological Association has voted nearly unanimously to adopt a new policy banning psychologists from participating in national security interrogations. The new rules come after an independent investigation documented how the APA leadership actively colluded with the Pentagon and the CIA torture programs. We'll have more on the vote that occurred in Toronto after headlines. In news from Colorado, a jury has sentenced James Holmes to life without parole for the 2012 Aurora movie theater massacre, which killed 12 people and wounded 70 more. Prosecutors had sought the death penalty, but jurors did not unanimously agree. Holmes had pleaded not guilty by reason of insanity. And Republican presidential frontrunner Donald Trump has sparked outrage with his comments implying that Fox News debate moderator Megyn Kelly was asking him tough questions during the first presidential debate because she was having her period. He made the comments speaking on CNN Friday.
She gets out and she starts asking me all sorts of ridiculous questions. And, you know, you could see there was blood coming out of her eyes. Blood coming out of her wherever.
Following the comments, Donald Trump was disinvited from a conservative event in Atlanta where he was slated to be the keynote speaker. The organizer of the Red State Gathering event, Eric Erickson, explained his decision.
So after all of this was over, Mr. Trump went on Twitter and said that I was a weak and pathetic leader. Which is okay. I actually think it's really weak and pathetic to take a tough question from a journalist and assume she's having her period, and that's why she asked you a tough question.
Among the many to criticize Trump for the comments is Republican candidate Carly Fiorina. Trump fired back at Fiorina, writing on Twitter that she gives him, quote, a massive headache. And those are some of the headlines. This is Democracy Now!, democracynow.org, The War and Peace Report. I'm Amy Goodman.